last but not least, we have one of my favorite stories from the canon of the Hebrew Bible. From the book of 1 Samuel, we have Saul and the Witch of Endor. In the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 28, Saul, the first king of Israel, seeks the help of a sorceress from the land of Endor to conjure up the dead spirit of his great mentor, the prophet Samuel. With the younger and stronger David coming up in the ranks behind him, an upcoming battle with the Philistines, Saul felt unsure and lacked the confidence he needed, and so in desperation, he turned to the dark arts. On a dark, dark night, much like tonight, King Saul said to his men, "Find me a sorceress, that I may go to her and inquire of her." Even though God had clearly commanded his people never to consult a witch or a sorcerer, Saul was desperate and thought little of God's commandments. His servants went out and found a woman, a witch, in the nearby woods of the land of Endor, who was known to raise the dead from their graves. In the dead of night, the king took off his kingly garments and disguised himself and went to see the Witch of Endor himself. Saul approached the medium. "Consult a spirit for me, and bring up for me the one whom I name to you." The witch replied, "Surely you know what King Saul has done, how he has cut off the mediums and the wizards from the land. So why would you try to cause me to die?" Saul replied, "I swear to you, God will not punish you. I swear to you." "Whom shall I bring up for you?" "Samuel." The witch went through her spells and enchantments until a figure of a man wrapped in cloaks appeared before Saul. The witch cried out, realizing that she had risen from the dead, the great prophet Samuel. She cried out in a loud voice, "Why have you deceived me? You are Saul!" The shadowy figure walked towards the Witch of Endor, saying, "Don't be afraid." Saul, afraid, scrambling and unable to see in the darkness. "What do you see?" The woman replied, I see an old man coming up. He is wrapped in a robe." Saul fell upon the ground, too afraid to show his face to Samuel. "I am in great distress. The Philistines are warring against me, and God has turned away from me and answers me no more." The shadowy figure of Samuel snapped back, "Why are you bothering me? You didn't listen to me when I was alive. You've never listened to God. Why are you bothering me now? Your kingdom will be given to David. Israel will be defeated by the Philistines, and come tomorrow, your sons will be with me." Saul, terrified of Samuel's words, fell to the ground, ashamed, and began to weep as the shadowy figure disappeared into the air. The following day, the battle began, and both of Saul's sons were killed by the Philistine army, just as Saul and the witch had predicted. Seeing the destruction of his family and his soldiers and the loss of Israel's battle, the cursed and now wounded King Saul fell upon his sword and took his own life.